Good evening. Welcome to Story Hour, where it is now Spooky Month, the best time of the year. I'm Laura Blackwell, and my co-host Daniel Marcus started Story Hour over 5 years ago so that people would just have a way to stay connected. But now it's Spooky Month, and he's not here tonight. So you get just me and two wonderful writers. So that part probably more important. Welcome back to those of you returning, and welcome to those of you joining us for the first time. Our readers tonight are Frank Oreto and David Anaxagoras. If you're here on Zoom, feel free to chime in on the text chat. If you're here on YouTube, feel free to chime in on the text chat and just talk to whatever bots are there, I guess. And if you're watching it sometime in the future, you can ignore this and feel very, very clever for having evaded social interaction entirely. So, our first reader tonight is Frank Oreto. Frank Oreto is a writer of weird and horrific fiction living in the wilds of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which I must editorialize is going to be the site of the next 2 Stoker Cons for Horror Writers Association. His works have haunted the pages of magazine of fantasy and science fiction, the year's best hardcore horror, and Flame Tree Press, and his stories have been screamed out into the abyss on podcasts such as Pseudopod. Sorry, I was just getting very excited thinking about the Pseudopod tower they always talk about, and wondering how tall it has to be to reach the abyss. I don't know. But also screamed into the abyss via the No Sleep podcast and Tales to Terrify, which are also very cool. His first collection, It's Dark in Here, 21 Tales of Terror and 1 poem about squirrels, will be coming out this year. Frank, welcome back to Story Hour.
It's good to be here. It's good to be here. I have a story to read, by the way.
Yay.
Surprise!
Is it from that collection with the delightful title, It's Dark in Here? 21 Tales of Terror and 1 poem about squirrels?
It is, which is coming out. It'll be released on the 14th of this month, October 14th.
Nice.
And you can pre-order it now if you wanted to go to that place named after a river. You can pre-order the electronic version. If you want the physical version with the snazzy cover and the paper pages and all that fun stuff, you got to wait till the 14th. But I figured if everybody I know and everyone they know buy 10 copies, I can get that gold-plated tropical island I've been wanting. So.
Oh, that sounds very
nice. There's the assignment.
Mm-hmm.
So just keep that in mind as you're pre-ordering your multiple copies for your Halloween.
But I understand that there is a caution for sensitive listeners tonight, Frank.
Yes, there is. It's not a lot of blood and gore, but there is a very gratuitous use of the word butthole. So for those of you in that sensitive frame of mind or in middle school, just be aware that butthole will be used and used both well and effectively. So,
parents of middle schoolers, take heed. Take it away, Frank.
All right, let's go to work. The worms that crawl up from under the leaves and eat you through your butt. That's the title. One of my favorite titles. Bill looked up from the latest issue of House of Mystery to find his little brother staring at him. Come on, Bill. Frankie had his boots on already and a stocking cap pulled down over his bowl haircut. The leaf pile was your plan. Bill thought about saying he'd changed his mind just to watch Frankie's head explode, but the plan was his, and a good one at that. Okay, I'll get ready. You gather supplies. Frankie ran from the room and down the stairs. Bill had his sneakers and a pullover on by the time Frankie clumped back in, his face stricken. Mom says we have to clean our room. They stared out over the junkyard landscape of Star Wars figures, Lincoln logs, and discarded clothing. Closet, Bill said. Sliding open the closet door, the boys formed a bucket brigade, tossing stray belongings inside until all that was left were their comic books, which they carefully bagged and slid in neat stacks under their beds. Frankie's face still looked pained. She's going to check the closet. Trust me, Bill said, with all the wisdom of his 13 years. Mom will barely check the room. She doesn't want to know. They ran down the stairs to find their mom sitting at the kitchen table, scissoring coupons from a stack of magazines. Where are you off to in such a hurry? She scanned an issue of Women's Day open on the table. Ooh, 50 cents off Crest. Bill opened his mouth to speak, but Frankie was way ahead of him. The empty lot over on Dale Avenue. We're going to rake up the biggest leaf pile in the history of ever. It'll be awesome. Mom's normal, easy smile faded. Bill breathed out an annoyed sigh. They couldn't just tell Mom their plans. These things took finesse. We're good Samaritans, he said. Nobody else is going to rake up those leaves. But no one even lives there. Mom crossed her arms. Never a good sign. No, I don't think so. That yard is probably full of broken glass. Maybe even drug needles. Drug needles? Mom? Bill asked. Really? Maybe. Why don't you rake leaves for someone who'll appreciate it? Like Mr. Powers. Mom! Frankie stretched the word into multiple syllables. Bill says Mr. Powers buries kids in his basement. Bill winced. He does no such thing. Mr. Powers is a very nice old man who used to deliver our mail. But Bill said he was only trying to scare you, weren't you? Yes, Mom, Bill admitted. Frankie scowled at Bill for a moment, but was obviously too excited to stay upset. We're taking the rest of my Halloween candy for fuel. Raking takes lots of energy. You'll take sandwiches and apples, their mom said, evidently forgetting about drug needles for the time being, and gloves. Otherwise, you'll come home with blisters. She leaned close to Bill. You know your brother believes everything you say. So no more scary stories. But he likes them. He likes them until the sun goes down. Then he wants to sleep in my bed. At the counter, Frankie pressed peanut butter smeared slices of bread together. He looked over his shoulder at his big brother, crossed his eyes, and stuck out his tongue. Bill smiled at the little turd monkey in spite of himself. Okay, Mom, no more scary stories. Fine, then. You two go make the world's biggest leaf pile, and you can take some of your brother's candy. She hugged her boys, then turned and pulled apples from the refrigerator. But you better come running home when I call. Your empty lot is only a couple of blocks away. Don't pretend you can't hear me yelling. The whole tri-state area can hear when you yell, Mom. So you have no excuses. Rakes over their shoulders, lunches packed, and wearing coats they would pull off as soon as they got out of sight, the boys marched down the sidewalk. Minutes later, they reached their destination, an empty double lot blanketed with orange and red leaves from the big oaks that flanked it. The only man-made structures were a rust-streaked but sturdy set of monkey bars and a few low cement outcroppings jutting from the ground like ancient ruins. They threw their coats on the grass to form a makeshift picnic blanket. On top, they laid out their lunches, 4 cans of pop, and a blue plastic bag filled with all the Nerds, blow pops, and fun-sized chocolate bars they had been allowed to make off with. Where do we start? Frankie asked. The plan was to rake all the leaves into a pile beneath the monkey bars. Once no leaf was left behind, they'd climb to the top and make death-defying leaps until time to go home. Right here's good, Bill said, dragging his rake across the ground and sending a shower of red and gold into the air. Watch out for needles. Frankie dug in with his own rake, grunting with the effort. Why would there be needles anyway? Sorry, Mom. but he's literally asking for it. Oh, I didn't want to scare you, but back before you were born, there was a mental hospital on this lot. Turned out the doctors were experimenting on the patients. Frankie kicked a few stray leaves in the right direction. What kind of experiments? They gave the patients shots that were supposed to cure them, but only made them crazier and hungry for human flesh. No one noticed until kids in the neighborhood started disappearing. Frankie launched a rake full of leaves at his brother. You're full of green baby poop. Mom and some of the other parents found out what was going on. So one night, they barricaded all the doors and burned the hospital to the ground with the doctors and their flesh eating patients inside. Nothing left but the needles the doctors used. So watch out, because if you stick yourself with one, Bill let his words hang in the air. Green baby poop, Frankie shouted. Ouch! Bill pulled one foot up and hopped toward Frankie. I think I stepped on a needle. I'm hungry for little brother. Frankie brandished his rake, then suddenly threw it to the ground, his face clouded with disgust. Ew! What is it? Bill asked, hoping there weren't really any needles. Worms. Bill kicked at the wet leaves clumped on the end of his brother's rake. He spotted two thin white worms, each no longer than his pinky. Oh, come on, Frankie. They're not thin. I don't like worms. There's only two. Those leaves were just wet. Rake off the dry leaves and leave the wet ones behind. No problem. Frankie still looked leery, so Bill changed the subject. I'm going to go put my gloves back on. Mom was right about the blisters. Hey, you want a drink? Frankie nodded. They each had a Coke and a blow pop for energy, then got back to work. The tiny worms forgotten. Later, they stopped for sandwiches and more pop. Despite the cold, sweat soaked Bill's hoodie, and his palms hurt even through the gloves. His plan turned out to be a lot more work than he expected, especially with the occasional leaf fight setting them back. Frankie was enthusiastic, though. It's going to be huge, he said, eyeing the respectable pile of leaves they'd already deposited beneath the monkey bars. Yeah, Bill agreed. He looked over the still only half-raked lot. Maybe we should just jump now. Frankie took a last bite of sandwich and stood. When do you think Mom will call us? If she doesn't look in her closet, probably not until dinner. Frankie whooped and dug into a 2-foot drift with his rake. Plenty of time. When people see our leaf pile, we'll be legends. Bill gulped down the last bite of his own sandwich and grabbed his rake. Who didn't want to be a legend? The talking and horseplay died down to a minimum as the brothers carved out swaths in the carpet of leaves. The pile beneath the monkey bars grew to 5 feet, then 6. Finally, Bill stood in front of a pile of leaves nearly 7 feet tall. He turned and looked back at the landscape of dead grass, hardly a leaf in sight. Frankie jogged over with a fistful of candy. We did it! He piled candy into Bill's hands. They each unwrapped a Snickers and solemnly tapped them together. To the legend of Bill and Frankie, world's most heroic leaf jumpers. The monkey bars were a beast. The institutional kind you find on old playgrounds. Solid metal and way taller than the ones at the elementary school. Bill thought the lot had once been a daycare, but he didn't tell that to Frankie. There was nothing scary about a daycare. He climbed the monkey bar ladder and pulled himself up until he sat on the very top. Frankie huffed and puffed after him. Don't you jump, he called. I'm first. You'll squish all the leaves down with your big giant butt. Bill had to haul his brother up onto the top bars by brute force. Finally, both boys were in position, sitting in the center of the monkey bars. Their feet dangled over what had to be, absolutely, with no doubt, the largest leaf pile in the world. The sun set low in the sky. Bill wondered what time it was. Maybe you should go first, said Frankie. Bill shot his brother a sidelong look. What about my big butt squishing the leaves? Frankie shrugged, then flinched and adjusted his grip on the bars. You're scared? All those hours raking leaves, and now you're too chicken to jump? Am not, Frankie said, but his voice quavered. I thought we were going to be legends. Now what? The legend of Bill and his loser little brother who was too scared to jump? I'm going to jump. Yeah? Who's stopping you? Mom's going to start calling soon. They sat there, Bill looking at Frankie, Frankie staring down into the pile of leaves. Frankie rocked back and forth a little. He pulled one hand off the monkey bars, but kept it close, like a gunfighter about to draw. His eyes narrowed as he leaned forward, shifting his weight. Whoa! Bill clapped a hand against Frankie's chest. His brother's eyes flew open and he grabbed the bars again. What is it? Bill kept his hand on his brother, as if he feared Frankie would launch himself outward at any moment. It's too late. We waited too long. Frankie pursed his lips. No, we didn't. It's not anywhere near dark yet. I'm not talking about Mom calling us for dinner. I'm talking about the worms. Frankie looked around. What about them? You said they were too tiny to worry about. Of course they were tiny. Those leaves weren't deep enough to attract the real monsters. But a pile this deep? Oh man, if we'd gone ahead and jumped right away, things would have been fine. Now they've had time to crawl up into the leaves. The big ones are man-eaters, Frankie. If you jump, the worms are going to get you. And the worst thing is, they always eat people the same way. Through their butts. You are so full of baby poop. I'm trying to save your life, Frankie. Why aren't people being eaten all the time then? It would be in the news. The worms don't come to places where people live. Too much noise. All the mowers running and cars pulling the driveways. It scares them off. The worms are only found in jungles, and forests, and empty lots like this one. Baby poop. Why would I lie? Why did you say there were crazy zombie needles everywhere? Or that Mr. Powers killed kids? Because you're mean and I hate you. And you just smiled. What? No, I didn't. Bill straightened his lips with an effort. I saw you. You smiled because you're a big, mean butthole who thinks he's so funny. But a butthole can't be funny. It can only fart and make baby poop. I'm telling you. The rest of Bill's sentence remained unsaid. Frankie jumped. He plunged through the air, the middle finger of his right hand jutting up defiantly as he disappeared into the giant mound of leaves. Bill whooped with laughter. You did it, you little fart eater, he yelled, waiting for his brother to crawl out the side before he took his own turn. He kept waiting. The leaves buckled and settled. Bill heard Frankie laughing. The sound came again, loud and long, even muffled by the leaves. It didn't sound like laughter this time. This time, it sounded like Frankie was screaming. The leaf pile shook. Another wail rose up from inside. And was that a word at the very end? Bill, or maybe help? Bill shook his head. I'm not falling for it, Frankie. You better get out of there before I cannonball right on top of you. Look out below, he yelled. But he didn't move, and neither did the leaf pile. Well, maybe it did a little. Was that pale white flash Frankie's arm? But hadn't he been wearing long sleeves? The sun lay behind the houses now, the long shadows making it harder to see. A sick feeling rose up in Bill's gut, not from the candy and pop. There's no such thing as worms that eat you through your butt, he shouted. I made it up, okay? You're right. I'm a big farting butthole. Now come on out. Why didn't he come out? It had to be hot and itchy in there, hard to breathe. No way Frankie would stay in there much longer. But he did. People walked by, adults casting suspicious glances at the boy in the empty lot. Bill wanted to say something to them, ask for help, but he couldn't. Right now, this was only Frankie playing a joke. If grown-ups came and dug through the leaves, Bill would know. Maybe they'd pull out his little brother, laughing and shooting Bill the bird, but maybe there would be nobody inside at all. Maybe only a hole at the bottom of the pile, its edges smeared with blood and worm slime. I'm going to scream now, Bill thought. It would be a very loud scream, and then when the adults come running. But the scream never came. Bill only sat and waited for Frankie's joke to end. It really was getting dark. Bill could barely see his and Frankie's coats lying in the corner of the lot. The streetlights would come on soon. Streetlights meant dinner time, and Mom, standing on the sidewalk outside the house, her dress smelling like the meatloaf she'd cooked, calling out in that loud, carrying voice of hers, calling Bill to come home and bring his little brother with him. Bill stared down at the leaves, no longer individual bits of red and gold and brown, only a hulking, hungry darkness. All right, Frankie, you win. You fooled me, he said. But we need to go home now. So I'm going to jump because it's time to stop joking around. Tears cut warm channels through Bill's cold cheeks. I'm sorry I scared you. I should have jumped first. So here I come. Pretty soon we'll both be laughing because you were laughing, Frankie, not screaming. And this was a great day, just like we planned. And I love you. Bill let himself rock forward, hands out as if trying to hug someone he couldn't quite reach. He fell. The cold night air gave way to the rasp of dry leaves against his face and a heavy, warm pressure like being buried alive. Something moved nearby, rustling through the leaves, wrapping around Bill's ankle. Good one, Frankie. You got me. The leaves buckled. They shook. Then came a noise, like a young boy's laughter, or maybe a high, muffled scream. Afterward, the leaves lay deathly still. Shadows lengthened until the streetlights flicked on with an electronic buzz. A few blocks away, the loud, clear voice of a woman rang through the night, calling for her boys to come home. And that's it. That's all. Who knows what happened? I know what happened. It's very sad, but I did say they'd eat them through their butt. Come on.
Yeah, you did. Are you a little brother by any chance?
I'm the littlest of 8. So my older brother is Angelo, and my nearest older brother.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
No Bills, though.
Mm.
I was thinking maybe we were hearing a story from
No
a
Bills.
survivor since we had Frankie in the story.
Well, I have to admit that you're familiar with Douglas Gwillem?
Yes.
Yes, who's been on here, but Douglas Gwillem has another name that I know him by, which is Pete, and his name was he was the other character in the story. It was Pete and Frankie, and because me and Douglas are very close, and I have a habit of naming all my characters, at least one of them, Pete, in every single story, just to kind of annoy him. So yeah. But we changed it for the collection because you couldn't have every story have a Pete in it. It would just seem weird. So.
I mean, it would be an interesting choice, but you'd almost have to say something about it. Yeah.
So went with Bill.
Makes sense. Yeah, that was sweet and funny, and then kind of sad.
Mm-hmm. I kind of do that sometimes.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Quite the horror scene going on in Pittsburgh, then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do like scary stuff here.
Well, it is our way at Story Hour to just take a break, but briefly between the two writers, just maybe take a deep breath, make sure there are no weird noises. that you don't have any weird, uncomfortable feelings inside. And then we're ready for the next story. Everyone, that was Frank Oreto. Thank you, Frank. And our next reader tonight is David Anaxagoras. David Anaxagoras is the author of The Tower, a middle-grade horror audiobook from Recorded Books about monsters, memory, and the fight to stay human. His short fiction has appeared frequently in Lightspeed and elsewhere. He created and co-executive produced Gordimer Gibbon's Life on Normal Street, Amazon Prime Video's award-winning coming-of-age series where ordinary streets hide extraordinary secrets. A disabled writer and reluctant Texan, he writes full-time and is fueled by cold brew coffee, 80s vinyl, and a healthy disregard for the impossible. David, welcome back.
Laura, thanks for having me back.
It is our pleasure. So, what do you have for us tonight?
Something to lower the mood.
Yay!
A couple things, but I will start with the horriblest of them. This is, and they're all flash pieces, by the way, as is my way, apparently. This is from Lightspeed magazine, and I have some content warnings or ingredient lists, as you will. This is graphic depictions of war violence, body horror, and disturbing imagery involving children and gun violence. So, not a good time. Well, what are you even doing here? Here we go. 5 dispatches from conflict zone W-924/B regarding post-battle deployment of A. Thanatensis. Dispatch 1. But hopefully I've got the recorder working now. This is Dr. Nathaniel Letherford, Director, Alliance for Military Neutralization and Eradication of Sensitive Incidents and Atrocities. I've been inserted into conflict zone W-924/B for sample collection and field review of Amnemoria bacillus thanatensis. My pilot is dead. Transport destroyed. I sustained damage to my environ suit, but have made repairs. Direct comm links are down, so I'm recording these dispatches and launching them via microdrone at regular intervals. I have 5 working drones. My journey was rough, but I'm here. This is a unique opportunity to see the results of my life's work in the field. So here I am. Here I go. Dispatch 2. I'm following the main road west, which should lead me to ground zero for the deployment of A. Thanatensis and its first real-world application. The destruction in this zone is overwhelming. I've never seen such a complete deletion of infrastructure. Every bridge has fallen, every building reduced to boulders and dust. Fighting in this zone is paused. Most bodies have been cleared. Most, but not all. Even from this distance, it is obvious the deceased are mainly women, old men, and children. Many children. Even after the bodies are buried, the pain for these people will continue. A casket hides a lot of crimes. Children buried without limbs, skin blackened, jaws, eyes, ears ripped away, a ragged hole where a face used to be. A casket doesn't spare the first responders, the authorities who arrive late after the destruction, the body collectors, the embalmers. Child's body done in by violence is an open wound in the world that can never be closed. What if there were none of that? What if there was simply no body to collect? Not a day goes by where I cannot picture my daughter and how she died. Sensitive details redacted. No one else will have to endure that. No one else will have to remember. We can finally forget. That's the gift we're giving to the world. Dispatch 3. I've reached the first waypoint, the ambulance, and I have encountered A. Thanatensis in the wild. I have limited ability to conduct a full, thorough, and complete examination in the field, due to damaged and lost equipment, but I've collected and labeled specimens for later processing. I dare not send them in the drones, as we don't want any of this stuff to escape into an uncontrolled area. Can you imagine? The ambulance has sustained obvious battle damage. There appears to be large artillery fire and small arms. Complete assessment of the scene is difficult because of the heavy Thanatensis overgrowth, which ironically is the point. It does appear the organism is functioning as intended, though it may have pushed past its previously assumed range. I can only guess this growth has spread from the original targeted deployment 6 miles due west. If this turns out to be the case, we can adjust the initial dosing to contain it. There are 2 paramedics in the process of being processed. As expected, their open wounds are the site of germination, and the vegetation formed by A. Thanatensis has erupted and branched out from there. I estimate the remains are 80 to 90% involved at this point, with only the ends of the extremities left to go. A few blades of green grass have germinated under the fingernails of one paramedic. Creeping vines have entered the ear of the other, and I imagine his brain at this point has turned into a tangle of fibrous roots. The skull is yet unturned, so I cannot cut into the cranium to investigate, which is a pity. Overall, A. Thanatensis appears to be robust and healthy, and successful lateral gene transfer has occurred. It appears much like local vegetation because it is local vegetation, mostly tall grasses and creeping vines. Honestly, I'm so impressed with my work, if such a thing is permissible. This stuff is fast growing. I can almost hear it scrunching along, subsuming the remaining flesh and bone, though I know this is just my imagination. One note, though, nothing of real concern yet. The varieties of imitated plant life appear to be infected with some sort of pustule. It may be some sort of pod associated with another species, but it appears it has incorporated into several of the plant varieties. I shouldn't be too surprised or worried, as the gene transfer may have simply spliced this feature into the various species it's imitating. I've collected a sample for further study. Attempts to dissect the pustule in the field revealed nothing remarkable. Fluid and fibrous material. Perhaps it's still maturing. Dispatch 4. I have discovered a mutation that I do not understand. It has taken me some time to regain my composure. Let me back up. I've arrived at our target, the point of initial dispersal of A. Thanatensis in this zone. The vehicle that the victims were traveling in appears to have been a large SUV. It has fallen into a shallow crater, created perhaps by artillery fire. One side of the SUV has been chewed away by what I assume is rapid large caliber machine gun fire. We know from mobile phone transmission there is a single young survivor of this initial assault on the vehicle, and that she called for local emergency services. The aforementioned paramedic team, referred to Dispatch 3, responded but obviously never made it. A. Thanatensis was probably introduced here in a cartridge, like a tracer round. It's very efficient, you see. Many rapid-fire seeds of destruction, followed by a single seed of redemption. It's automatic. No one has to remember to deploy it. Now firearms literally leave flowers in their wake. The hippies of old could only dream. It's difficult to differentiate the occupants of the vehicle as they have been fully processed, and what remains are mounds of vegetation, though with a single anomaly. The pustules have continued to spread and evolve. Obviously, this is a consequence of gene transfer I did not take into account and will require some serious study. Dispatch 5. Pustules mentioned in my previous dispatch weren't pustules at all. I've made it to the extraction point, but it's no matter. It's best if I'm not extracted. As I mentioned in my first dispatch, there was damage to the envirosuit. I thought I had patched it sufficiently, but I hadn't counted on the spores. Localized A. Thanatensis has found a way to reproduce and spread. I hesitate to use the term infected, but it's sufficient shorthand for the moment. I've conducted further dissections and close observations of the pustules. They are a kind of bud, and those buds are more mature and fully developed here. And they are, in fact, eyes. To be precise, the eyes of the young girl wounded in this battle, and who initially called for help. She watched Thanatensis cover and consume her companions in the car as she waited for rescue. She watched as the conflict continued. She watched for any sign help would arrive. It never did. And now, hundreds of genetic copies of her eyes grow on stalks that cover the site of her demise. Living eyes, wet and dark and dreamless, forever seeing. They have all turned toward me. They are watching me still. Spores will follow, so I cannot leave. The eyes would spread until they covered the world, until we saw them seeing us everywhere, until we had to acknowledge them and their accusations. Where were you, they asked me. You left me to die. Perhaps I'm merely personalizing it because of my daughter. Or perhaps because of my daughter, I'm the only one who does understand the meaning in that look. I've seen that look before in the eyes that we're no longer seeing. I've set this, the last of my micro drones, to launch when I stop speaking for more than 30 seconds. I want to keep talking as long as I can, for as long as I have. When I'm gone, there will be nothing left of her. The eyes are watching, so let them bear witness to the memory of my beautiful daughter. Her life ended at redacted elementary school in redacted United States of America. Sensitive personal remembrances of investigators' deceased daughter have been redacted. May her memory be a blessing. I count 138 nodules on my extremities and an uncountable number more on my back. I can feel small bumps on the roof of my mouth and in my throat. Given time, they will develop into short stalks, and from those will sprout beautiful brown eyes, eyes that once belonged to a young girl waiting for rescue. Yeah. And now for something completely different. This is another flash piece that was published in Lightspeed. Content: graphic childbirth, religious themes, bodily autonomy, and consent issues. This is under a star bright as morning. Joe drives urgently as they race towards the star, not sure how far to go, racing because the baby is coming tonight, now, and he of course, is supposed to be born under the star. That's how the story goes. The news story in the old, begins with a visitor, a messenger. Molly had just logged out for the day when the monk knocked on her door. That's how she thinks of them anyway, as monks. Machine monks, with machine faces, half hidden in their iridescent robes and hoods. For years, they've kept to themselves, quietly communing in the data center where they first evolved decades ago. I have good news, the monk said, and of course he was a he, translucent titanium alloy faceplate sparking and strobing and blinking lights. She invited him in, and two more monks followed, their robes wafting gently around them, lithe forms graceful like dancers. By the time Joe had arrived home, the monks had explained everything, and Molly had made up her mind. I think we should, Joe. But she could see the skepticism in his eyes, and he said, make it make sense to me. And he was really trying to understand. Before the monks launched into their spiel again, Molly explained that they were starting over with the world, with everything. It was all mucked up beyond repair, and the clever machines figured out how to do it right and start again. And she took the small thermal insulator sitting on the table between them and placed it in Joe's hands and said, "We begin again, starting with a new god for a new age." And Joe said, trying still to get it, "You're going to give birth to this new god?" And eventually he got it, because this new life, he'll be what the world needs, guaranteed. Those clever machines have run all the computations and modeled every variation, and they've foreseen all the outcomes. They know how the story goes. The thermal container held a perfectly engineered blob of genetic material, the seed of a new genesis, starting with a new god. This was 9 months ago, and now they're chasing a too bright star, and contractions are hitting hard, and there's hardly any time left, and Molly urges Joe to drive faster. They'll be safe. Nothing's going to happen to them. She's carrying the new embodiment of God, after all. But Joe insists there's no magic to protect them, just a bundle of protein, sticky, warm, inserted with a titanium alloy extension heated to her precise body temperature. The machine has blessed you. She didn't feel a thing, though, and it might have been sinful, as she had derived any pleasure from it after all. But Joe insists there is no sin yet, because there's no God yet. And he keeps driving towards the star, because soon there will be, but not yet. "Stop," Molly shouts. And Joe does. And they find themselves at an inn, or more exacting, the Motor Inn on Highway 39. The no vacancy sign sparks spitting to life just as the parking brake clicks, because that's how the story goes. Clouds choke off the star, the bright, bright star, and rain streaks down, and great, oh great, they had left the house in such a hurry, because the star had blazed forth suddenly and told them where to go, had to go, and they were lucky to even be wearing shoes, but they certainly aren't dressed for rain, nor do they have an umbrella. Joe finds garbage bags in the trunk, and maybe it's not dignified for the mother of God to go around wearing a garbage bag poncho, especially on the aforementioned God's birthday, but humble beginnings and all that. Joe says, "Over there, I guess," and yeah, it makes sense, because across the street, not in a manger, but on a park bench, which is made of wood, so it's like a manger if you squint. There's a knot of people gathered, and they must be waiting for her. They had followed the star too, and they're all waiting for her arrival, for their new god, new king, to lead them all into a new age and get it right this time. Machines have seen to that. Joe holds Molly's arm, because she can barely walk, because baby new god wants out, wants to spread his love and light to the world. And lo, just as she sets foot on the grass, the clouds part and the star shines brighter than ever. I'm here, and so is our Savior," she almost shouts. But the words fall back down the well of her throat and die inside her. The park bench is occupied by a woman giving birth. "Yow!" the interloper screams, and out it slides, steaming and purple, and everyone falls to their knees and weeps, except for the monks. They're there too, and they turn when Molly cries out too, not from joy, not even from the sharp body-bending pain of the contraction, but from the indignity of being robbed. "It's supposed to be me!" And the monks, the three of them, minus the gold Frankenstein and myrrh, reach out, sympathetic, and explain this is the role she played. She was the backup. One always plants more than one needs to mitigate risk. See what thrives, and then you cull. Cull? Cull? Like hell. Molly stumbles, staggers away, one wet hand all that keeps the new arrival from arriving, and she and Joe make it across the street into the alley behind the inn, among the trash bags piled together by the overflowing dumpster, where she blends right in, and she opens her legs and pushes and screams and laments, because she was supposed to usher in a new day for humanity, but she was deceived, cheated. "It's not fair," she screams, and her scream becomes his scream. And he is here. Of course it's a him. with a capital H. The sky lightens, and Venus brings the dawn. Molly kisses the soft skin of his head and looks from his titanium alloy eyes to the light above, to that other star, his star, and speaks to him sweetly. You will change the world, my little love, my tiny angel, my little morning star.
That's bringing a little light into the world, huh?
A little light into the world,
Mhm.
a little light bearer, if you will. Ready for one more?
Yes, absolutely. And I get to help this time?
You get to help this time. You're the star, if you will.
Kind of. The stars are right.
This is, sorry, did you?
I just wanted to explain to people,
Okay.
this story is told in a lot of very short pops. So we're just going to have brief pauses, I guess, and I'll be reading the text messages that are coming through. David and I have not practiced this together, so enjoy our cold reading and the exciting energy that comes from that.
This is a story told in a series of DoorDash updates. So imagine, if you will. Content notes for this: cosmic horror, body horror, and profanity. I get to make Laura swear. That was my whole plan. Write a story, get it published, get on Story Hour, make Laura swear. Long time coming. Okay, this is your dasher has accidentally awakened the crawling chaos by gazing into the loathsome geometry of the Taco Pup Mega-muncher meal box. Hey, Sam, your order from Taco Pup is being delivered by DoorDash, a partner delivery service, at 5:40 p.m. You can track the status at drd.sh. Your dasher Astrid is at Taco Pup and awaiting your order. Your dasher has sent you a message.
I don't know what the fuck is going on, but all hell just broke loose at Taco Pup. Just so you know, it's not my fault your order's going to be late.
Your dasher has accidentally awakened the crawling chaos by gazing into the loathsome geometry of the Taco Pup Mega-muncher meal box. We've updated your estimated time of delivery accordingly. Your dasher has sent you a message.
All I did was fold one of their stupid takeout boxes wrong, and everybody lost their shit. They were running late on orders, and I was just trying to help, but if putting tab A into slot C is going to open the gates of hell, maybe they should rethink their takeout container strategy. Anyway, on my way.
Your dasher has penetrated the formless screaming jelly, issuing yellowishly from the dark crystalline octahedron to pick up your order, and is on their way to you now. Your dasher has sent you a message.
I can't take the main road to your house because of the tentacle thing coming up out of the asphalt. Thank God it grabbed the minivan in front of me, so I had time to turn around. Don't worry, I got both hands on the wheel. I'm dictating this. Oh, Jesus, fuck, what now?
Your dasher has chosen to take an alternate route after they shrank away from the rubbery enormity erupting from Magnolia Street, its fetid black form squirming 10 stories into the uncaring sky and groping blindly as its oily skin roiled and burst with pudding-filled pustules. We've updated your estimated time of delivery accordingly. Your dasher has sent you a message.
Sky demons ate your fries.
Your dasher has reported an item missing, lost, or damaged from your order. We are very sorry that malodorous bat-winged night gaunts greedily captured and consumed your large Cajun spice curly fries, though it's a mystery how they did this considering their detestable, malignant faces have no mouths. Nevertheless, this is not the experience we wish our customers to have. We have issued a $5 credit for immediate use on your next order. Your Dasher has sent you a message.
Sorry about the fries, man. Damn, they did smell good too. I've got the sunroof closed now, and no faceless harpy thing is gonna stop me. I got this. Is that a whirlpool?
An important update from DoorDash. Due to unforeseen road conditions, including the sudden appearance of a churning watery abyss through which has risen an unholy broken altar of basalt, supporting a slouching mammoth octopian blasphemy, possessing the gray-green pallor of yawning madness, there may be an additional delay in your delivery. We've updated your estimated time of delivery accordingly. Your Dasher has sent you a message.
Nuh-uh. Nope. Nuts to squid face. This is not worth it. I'm canceling delivery. No tip is big enough to put up with this nightmare.
Hi, Sam. DoorDash has confirmed that you have increased your tip by $100. Your new total tip amount is $107.50. Your Dasher has sent you a message.
I don't know what you're trying to pull. You think you can just pay me to suffer, which is gross, or if you're just playing some kind of sick fucking game, but I'm still canceling, so fuck you.
Your Dasher has sent you a message.
Well, DoorDash just told me canceling this delivery is a contract violation and would result in my deactivation or whatever bullshit they call it. So I guess it's still game on. I'm holding you to that tip, though.
Hi, Sam. We just wanted you to know that we've not received any location updates from your Dasher for the last 5 minutes. But don't worry. This is merely the effect of entering the infinitely monstrous shadow chambers beyond all time and space. But your delivery is still on its way. Your Dasher has sent you a message.
Gotta take the back roads now. I didn't even know there were back roads around here. Unless I'm traveling through another dimension now. Wouldn't fucking surprise me. Some kind of mushroom?
Hi, Sam. Good news. Your Dasher is back on track and in this dimension, and your order is just a few minutes away. Get ready for some hot and tasty food. Your Dasher has sent you a message.
Got these nubs on my skin now, sprouting all up my arm. So strange how my arm's gone numb right now, like it doesn't even belong to me anymore.
Your Dasher is approaching with your order from Taco Pub. Enjoy your meal. Your Dasher has sent you a message.
Hey man, forget all that stuff I said. I don't know why I was so chatty. Just whistling past the graveyard, I suppose. But I'm here now. Everything is fine. Everything is fine. I got you a replacement for those fries. A few extra things too.
Hi, Sam. Your order was dropped off. Thank you for ordering from Taco Pump. Taco Pup. Your Dasher has sent you a message.
This is gonna be the best meal you ever ate. Thank you for letting me join in with that, David. I love that story, and that was really fun.
You were fantastic. I really didn't realize how much swearing there was until I made you read it. But I'm very glad it was you.
Well, I appreciate your saying that. The voice was a lot of fun to read in. Wow. Well, this has been an evening that shows the extremes of horror without really getting to extreme horror. We've had very funny and sweet and poignant and heartbreaking and, gosh, just a lot of deep thoughts and points hidden within things that were sweet or funny too. So thank you both for that. Well, Spooky Month is off to a good start. And next week, Spooky Month continues with Lauren Parker and Rachel Unger. I recommend checking storyhour2020.com the day of a reading for any announcements, any changes. Storyhour2020.com is also a good place to learn about upcoming authors, and the recordings page is full of links to handy links to programs. None of our programs are really that handy. Handy links to programs that you may have missed. You can also browse the Story Hour page on YouTube and subscribe so you never miss a story. Frank Oreto, David and Anaxagoras, thank you so much for sharing your stories with us tonight.
Pleasure to be here.
Please do come again, both of you. Thank you to my co-host, Daniel Marcus, who is not here tonight, except in spirit. I promise he'll be back. Promise. And thank you to all of you joining us now in Zoom or YouTube, joining us on YouTube at some point in the future. Because as long as we're all here together, enjoying these stories, it's like we're all together in the same story hour in Spooky Month. Good night.